Firstly, we would like to thank the IterateUX community for giving us this opportunity. And a huge shout out to our mentor, Amy Ogg, for her continuous guidance throughout this project. We as a team of 4, Charu, Savannah, myself, Srinidhi, and Yi, took part in the design challenge, and we were given several challenge topics. We decided to go ahead with the prompt, either design from scratch or redesign an existing e-commerce apparel shopping app or website, thereby incorporating an augmented reality feature. We decided to go ahead with a very famous e-commerce apparel shopping mobile app called Shein, and thereby we decided to incorporate the AR feature inside it to enhance user experience. These are the tools that we used. So for the problem statement, online shopping for apparel can be really frustrating for a user, mainly because they don't have a brick and mortar store to go inside and see in person how an apparel looks and so on, or how it fits for them. And also if the website or the mobile app is really confusing for them, like too many options, so many ads and so many promotions, it's really overwhelming for the user. And so the app fails to deliver to its needs. So the goal that we have here is to offer a solution where an e-commerce app can leverage technology, thereby making use of something like AR feature, and thereby it could enhance the user experience. So once we identify the problem statement and once we set a goal for us to solve, we decided to go ahead with the design thinking framework, which is empathize, define, ideate, and prototype, where each iteration would be based on what we have for the previous stage. So for this, we had approximately 4 weeks to solve and come up with a design solution. The first week was to have a competitive analysis and user research. The second week was spent on just doing affinity mapping, designing user personas and user journey map. The third week was more of brainstorming and trying to do low fidelity wireframes. And then the final and the fourth week was prototyping and designing our case study. So for the first part of our research, we started out with a competitive analysis. So we decided to analyze famous brands like Shein, Amazon, Nike, Zara, Uniqlo, Gucci. So of these, Nike, Zara, and Gucci had a really good user interface, and the app was itself sophisticated, so the user experience was really good there. Amazon was a easy-to-use user interface, and it was a giant, so there was nothing that we could do there because it already had several features. So we were left with Shein and Uniqlo. Uniqlo's user interface was really good again. So we decided to go with Shein mainly because of its competitive pricing, and also the weaknesses in Shein outweighed its strengths, like, low quality of products, too many ads on the screen, too many promotions, too many categories that were overwhelming for the user, cluttered user interface, and so on. And then we decided to do a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats for Shein to understand that particular brand further. So this is the SWOT analysis. This main strengths that we identified was the competitive pricing, and then it was really performing really well in newer markets overseas. Its weakness was a pretty long homepage, which was really overwhelming for the user. And then the users were also concerned about what they were getting in their delivery because it wasn't really looking exactly the same way as it was portrayed in the models. And then opportunities that we identified was to leverage technology to give a better user experience for users, and also to collaborate with other designers so that they could sell their brands on their website. The main threats that we identified here were Shein was facing several lawsuits because they had like high toxic chemicals in their apparel, and their makeup products also had lead in them. So they were facing several lawsuits. So they could be pushed to doing more eco-friendly apparel. So the next stage was to move to user research and recruiting users. So now that we know what the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats were for Shane, we decided to target audiences mainly between the ages of 25 and 55, who mainly shop for apparel online than a brick and mortar store, particularly within the United States, because Shane's mobile experience, app experience, was completely different in several countries than the United States. So we decided to go ahead with just the United States. And then we planned and conducted user interviews with 5 participants. 1 was male and 4 were female. And we were able to identify them with the help of a Qualtrics survey. From these 5, we were able to do 1 moderated user interview and 4 unmoderated user interview. So these are some of the questions that we asked our users. So things like, what do you like the most about the app? Are there any problems that you encountered? If there's something that you like to change on the mobile app, what would it be? What is the most frustrating thing for you when you're shopping online, and so on. So some of these questions were answered by our users. And then we also proceeded to go ahead and read some of the reviews from App Store, which would give us more insight on how Shane's user experience was. So the main takeaways from these reviews were the sizing and the measurements of apparel wasn't really great, because some users got completely different outfits, and it was nowhere close to what the models in the app were wearing, though it looked good on them. The quality of the fabric can really be a hit or a miss. It really depends on what kind of fabric it is. And then the delivery and the returns were really not up to the mark, because some users found it extremely difficult to return a particular product if they didn't like it. And then the customer service was really poor at that point. So these are the key insights from the user research. We went ahead and we put all of these information in a FigJam, and then we categorized all of these insights from our 5 users into sticky notes. And so we color coordinated them, so we would be able to identify each user's inputs. So these are the key insights. So most of our users that we interviewed they spent a lot of time browsing for a particular apparel, and they loved Shane because of its budget-friendly and trendy collection. And then they're really not sure about how the product would look, and so they're really anxious up until the delivery point. And then they also like the convenience of being able to order apparel online and not wanting to go into a store, and so on. And some users also felt that Shane's app had too many promotions, too many ads, unnecessary ads in several places, and unnecessary categories again and again, redundant information in the homepage, and they felt it bombarded them so much. So we then moved on to our define phase, which was in the 2nd week. After we collected all of these information from our research phase, we moved on to identifying the key pain points. So this is the affinity map that we built. And so we kind of located patterns here. So the users felt that the homepage was cluttered, like I said before. And then they were not sure about the purchase decision, again, like I said before, because most of the products were not up to the mark, like how they looked on the models. Some users preferred mobile apps, while some users preferred websites, but the users who preferred mobile apps outweighed the number of people who preferred websites. And then they were also budget conscious, and of course, Shane is pretty much affordable. And so based on all of these information, we decided to go ahead with designing our user personas. We decided to go ahead with 2 user personas. One is Kristen, who is a returning user for Shane, and the other one is Wade, who is completely new to Shane, and he mostly purchases in a brick and mortar store than online. So Kristen is a person who comes back to Shane because it's pretty much affordable, and then she gets good quality apparel in budget. But the frustration that she goes through is she has to read through endless reviews to see if that particular product really fits her. And then she's pretty much disappointed when it doesn't arrive like she expected. And she also feels that making returns back, if she doesn't like a particular product, making returns back is extremely tedious because she cannot get hold of a real person or someone to help her with that process. The next person is Wade. He's completely new to this online space, though he is technically literate. His tech literate is medium. He's completely new to this process, but he as a user feels having too much information on the page has him confused, and he feels that the checkout process has to be really easy. So we decided to go ahead with building just Kristen's user journey map because she was a returning user and she kind of has more experience in using the Shane app. So this is the journey map. Let's say she wants to go to an event and she's really excited to buy a new dress. So initially she logs into the mobile app and she's excited. And then she looks at lots of information on the homepage and lots of categories. And then she's really anxious. She doesn't know what to choose. And then she searches for a particular dress that she wants. And then she is really satisfied at this point. She likes a dress, but she's not really sure if it would fit her. So she's confused. And then she tries to measure herself at this point just to check for approximate measurements. And so she's again anxious if it would fit her or not. Now she goes ahead, once she has the approximate measurements, she goes ahead and places an order for the dress. So she's happy. But after 2 weeks, when she receives the dress, she's really disappointed because she thinks that it doesn't really look the way that she wanted it to be. So this is it. And so the major pain points that we identified here are they don't know if the fitting is really good. And then making returns are again tedious. And then the user interface is really cluttered with redundant information. So then once we have all of these information in our hand, we moved on to the next phase, which was the ideate phase. So now we had to brainstorm and think about how are we going to provide solutions for the pain points that we identified. So the first thing was to have users reduce their return rate. And the second thing was to build more trust in their users in their shopping experience. So thereby, we decided that giving a trial room with an virtual trial room, making use of the augmented reality feature would give a more accurate sizing help. And then the second one was to not have the user be overwhelmed on the homepage. So redesign the homepage a little bit, thereby reducing its cluttered interface. So this is the user flow for the AR trial room. So we decided to have a call to action button called Try in Fitting Room under the product page. So when the user goes ahead and clicks on a particular product, they will be presented with the product. And then there'll be a small call to action button down below that, which says Try in Fitting Room. And then it would ask for access to camera. And then if the user grants permission, it would walk through instructions to get full length shots of that particular user. Here, the user might need help of someone to take full length shots of them. And then they would be filling in their height and weight to get exact measurements. And then they could save profile. This is for a first-time user. So we kind of decided to have the trial room for two versions, the first-time user and a returning user. So first-time user would be able to save their profile, and then they would be either going back to browsing other apparel, or they would go ahead and try that particular apparel on them virtually, and then they would follow instructions to point their camera to a mirror, whereby the augmented reality feature would be superimposing that particular product on their mirror image, and they would be able to virtually try it on. So from there, they would be able to go to different options like adding to wish list or adding to cart or browsing for more options. And this one's for returning user. They would just not have the save profile option. They would already have their profile saved. So they would just follow instructions to point the camera towards a mirror, and then the mirror image of them would have the product superimposed. And then again, they would be able to add to wish list or to cart or browse more. From there, we moved on to creating low fidelity wireframes. So this is the home page. We reduced the clutter, we reduced the redundant information, and then we took care of the bottom navigation bar. And we did several things, which I'm going to explain further down below. And this is the product page. Like I said, below the product, there is a call to action button that says Try in Fitting Room. And then you can scan the full body here, and then they would be able to fill in their height and weight here, and then save profile. So now they would be able to either try or try that later. So they would be able to try it now or try it later, and then this is where it points the camera to a mirror reflection. We now move on to high fidelity mockups. This is the home page. So we have a specific banner here, right? So this is the redesign improvements. So we have a specific banner. This is the existing page, and this is the redesigned page. So you can see the difference here. This is the existing page with all the clutter. This is the redesigned page with the reduced clutter. So we have this particular icon here. We are not sure if that is used for notifications. So we changed it particularly because this envelope sign is used for email. So we changed it to a bell icon for notifications. And then we moved the bag from the bottom navigation bar to the top part because it would be easier for a user to toggle between their cart and the wish list. And then we have one particular ad banner, and the user could swipe to see multiple ads here. So this reduces clutter there than having multiple widgets for multiple ads. And then we have more spacing here for more legibility. And like I said before, we pushed for more eco-friendly options because of Shane's lawsuits. And then our trial room is called as a fitting room because we thought it would be more intuitive to a user, calling it as a fitting room than a trial room. And then we also reduced the options in the navigation bar because we moved the cart upstairs, cart to the up, not upstairs, I'm sorry. We moved the cart up, and we also reduced the, we also removed the new option from here. So we have like 4 options now: home, categories, fitting room, and account. So this is the high fidelity mockups for you one more time. So reduced clutter. And then this is the fitting room here, prime fitting room. And then it gives you a pop-up asking for permission. And then the user has to scan a full body image here, and then enter height and weight measurements, and then save profile. And then it says you're all set. And then they have to just point to a mirror to have a mirror image and have that particular dress superimposed on them. So right now, the current AR feature is only on the product page right here. Like I said before, there's just one call to action button called Try in Fitting Room. As next steps, we are trying to change this call to action button into add to fitting room, just like add to cart. So the users would be able to add multiple items to the fitting room. Thereby, they would be able to try on multiple apparel at the same time, like a scarf, a hat, and a dress together. Let's say a user wants to go to a party and wants to order multiple apparel at the same time. So they're confused if the look would be really good on them. So they could add multiple items to the cart, to the fitting room, and then they would be able to click on the fitting room and then try all of them at the same time. So that's what we're aiming for as our next steps. And we are also trying to do a usability testing of this redesign to see what our users think of this more intuitive interface. Thank you so much. If you would like to hear more about this project, these are our emails, and this is our team. Thank you so much.